my material. I'm just trying to close up my lines from my gauge rig. And sometimes you get a stubborn one where it doesn't want to cooperate. So sometimes you just have to come across it from the other direction. Sometimes it'll close right up, sometimes it won't. I'll have to go back over it from the other side. Now you'll notice when I get to the edges, what I'm doing on the edge of this is I'm lifting and supporting my squeegee as it comes off the edge. If I don't and it drops down, I'm changing the thickness of my edge, and I don't want to do that. Any change in thickness of the edge is going to be a change in thickness of the material, and it'll be a weak point. These are being kind of a pain right now. Mostly got them. Here, just one line's bugging me. I don't want to do that. That one line is really giving me some problems. There we go. All right, we're going to call that good. Now you'll notice that where the squeegee went, I still have some lines, but those are raised lines. Raised lines are fine because we're going to put a stamp on this and we're going to push down. So those raised lines will get pushed down into veins on the stamp. Lines where there's material missing, like the gauge rake marks, those won't ever go away. We won't stamp with enough force to push those lines closed. So you need to squeegee those lines closed very carefully. Raised lines like that, not a big deal. We can take care of those. All right? So we're going to let this dry now. Time on this is not time, it's timing. You can't put this down and then go to lunch. And you come back and, oh, it's too hard. You can't stamp it now. Okay, so you just have now either a nice flat patio or you need to remove it all with a grinder. You need to let it cure and you need to grind it all back off flat. So we're going to stick around and I'm going to hop over here and then maybe we'll hop over there depending on how dry this is. I'm going to constantly be coming over here and checking this though. We're going to put some fans on it with this one. I'm going to check it not using my fingers. I'm going to use the palm of my hand. Okay, I'm going to push down with the palm of my hand gently. Maybe down very, very, very minimal. Less than a millimeter I'm going to push down. I'm not trying to make an impression. All I'm trying to do is get material on my hand. If it comes back and it's all like it is now, it's polymer, there's cement in there, it's not ready to go. If I push down and it's firm and only sand is left on my hand and I can just brush the sand right off, it's ready to stamp. Now we have different sized people, so we'll have different sized people get on there because I'm kind of big, like 115 kilos. For me to get on this stamp, I have to wait longer, okay? But for some smaller guys, we don't have to wait that long. You guys can get on there, you know, if you're 80 kilos, whatever, you can get on there earlier than I can. And it's good to have different sized crew members because if they were all guys like my size, and we were like, okay, it feels ready to go, and we put the stamps on there, and oh, the middle's not ready yet, it's going to squirt out like a tube of toothpaste. You can feel it when you walk on it, when you're on the stamp, you can feel it squishing underneath your feet. And if it's really squishing, you got to be really, really careful. If you're not making an impression, you're making it stick, and we don't want it to stick. But a lighter guy, you know, he might be able to get on there, and it doesn't squish as much for him because it's just lighter. So we'll test it over and over and over. It'll probably take about a half an hour for maybe 45 minutes for it to be at that point where we can stamp it. We'll get that done before lunch. We're going to move over now though, and we're going to do a pure thin finish application called a slate trowel down. What did you do? How dare you? Also on this, 2 more points. A, you'll see me come back probably after we stamp it. After I stamp it, and I'll come through with my margin trowel, and I'll cut the extra material off the edge. I'll take off all of this extra material on the edge of the board, because I don't want that, especially if I was doing a job, you know, like a patio or something. You don't want overhang material like that along the edge of some grass or something. Would look really bad. So I'm going to come through and I'm going to follow the edge, and I'm going to trim off that extra material and make it nice and square. Second thing, joints. We will talk about concrete joints tomorrow. If you have a moving joint, either an expansion joint or an isolation joint, you have to honor that joint. So as you're doing this, keep a tab where the joint is. When you get to it, keep your margin trowel with you. Stick your margin trowel in the joint, scrape the material out as you go. And leave your joints open. It's the same as just a regular concrete patio. Has its joints. This needs to have its joints too, because it's going to form onto that concrete. And if you have a jointed area and you go over the top of it, A, you're going to get a bunch of material down there first, and you're going to waste a bunch. But B, you're going to have a bridge. And if it moves on either side, it can pop that bridge in half. It'll break your overlay. So it's easier, just honor your joints with the margin trowel, and you're good to go. It's very simple to do, just keep it with you. As you come to your joint, which your joint should be every 40 feet. Our expansion joints should be every 40 feet on center for the slab. And you just clean it back out. Very simple. Put your margin trowel away, continue your work. It takes all of 10 seconds.
Liat.
If you guys want to do this, because I will have you guys do this, I've done it a time or two, I know what I'm doing. We've got some extra knee pads over here, just a couple pairs, but you know, if you're old like me and you don't want to hurt your knees. All right. This. We're going to use design tape for this application. This is different than your regular tape. Besides me, who's the strongest person here? You are? Here, I'll give it to you. Well, how much did your knee pads cost?
This one? I don't know.
Pesos?
That's good enough.
Yeah, mine were 17, 1800. My knee pads. Yeah, they're multi-use. Last forever. I've had it for 2 years.
Can I touch it?
Yes, but no fingerprints.
The palm on.
Yep. Yeah, that's actually almost ready. When you guys are done taking that, we'll be good to go.
Pero sabi niya. Sige na.
Ikaw man itisting yung mga feel mo.
It's not na
Percent and percent.
Let's stop taping. We're going to stamp this.
Na-feel mo nga ng mga saan. Mo na yung pasabot.
Hindi, mabilis ngayon.
Uy, ano?
Hindi, saka yung
Yung first thing you got, clean print, and spray it.
Basta.
Grab water in.